For years, Ronda Rousey wasn't just a fighter. She was a force of nature, a storm in human form. The woman who walked into arenas knowing her opponents were already beaten long before the cage door shut.
Ronda Rousey, we know how quickly she's been finishing her opponents. Last 4 fights have lasted an average of 32.5 seconds.
Ronda Rousey is the new Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight Champion!
Well, what makes me so confident that I can win is I'm the greatest fighter in the world. I'm better than every other girl in every area of MMA. MMA striking is different, and I think I'm the best at it.
But behind the dominance, behind the swagger, behind the image of the unbeatable champion, a time bomb was quietly ticking. And when it exploded, it didn't just destroy her reign, it shattered the myth of invincibility she built around herself. Today, the world remembers Ronda Rousey 2 ways: the unstoppable icon who transformed women's MMA, and the fallen superstar whose collapse was as shocking as her rise. Her downfall wasn't just a loss, it was a psychological, technical, and emotional unraveling that the fight world still talks about. This is the story of how the world's most feared female fighter went from unbeatable champion to a cautionary tale. And it all starts with a rise unlike anything MMA had ever seen. Ronda Rousey's journey began long before the UFC, deep inside the unforgiving world of Olympic judo. Ronda learned pain, discipline, and grit before she learned how to talk properly. After earning a bronze medal in the 2008 Olympics, the first American woman to accomplish it in judo, MMA wasn't her plan, but the moment she stepped into a cage, something clicked. Her judo base, combined with raw aggression and an almost unnatural killer instinct, made her look like she was created for combat. She began ripping through opponents in seconds, leaving the MMA world stunned. Ronda didn't just win, she crushed people. She made the sport look unfair. By the time the UFC signed her as the first women's champion in history, Ronda wasn't just a rising star, she was an incoming hurricane. Dana White, who once swore women would never fight in the UFC,
Are we gonna see women in the UFC, man?
Never.
Anytime soon? Never? Never.
changed his entire business model because of her. That's how explosive her rise was. She didn't enter MMA, she detonated inside it. Dominance era, 12-0, first-round finishes. From 2011 to 2015, Ronda Rousey became the face of destruction. In her first 12 professional fights, she finished every single opponent, most of them in the first round. Her signature armbar became a death sentence. Fighters weren't walking into a match with Ronda, they were walking into a trap they already knew they couldn't escape. She wasn't just winning, she was embarrassing world-class athletes. Fans expected quick victories, opponents expected pain. The UFC expected pay-per-view gold, and Ronda delivered all of it. With every victory, the legend of Ronda Rousey grew. She wasn't just a fighter, she became the measuring stick for greatness. Analysts said she could beat male fighters. She was on magazine covers, headlining cards, breaking records, and becoming the UFC's biggest star. But with every triumph, something dangerous was happening behind the scenes. Ronda was beginning to believe the myth of her own invincibility. Ronda wasn't just a fighter, she became a global celebrity. Everywhere she went, she heard the same message: you are unstoppable. But fame has a way of masking flaws. As Ronda's public profile exploded, her training didn't evolve. Her striking remained basic, her footwork was stiff, her head movement was non-existent. Yet her camp, while the world watched her rise, the roots of her downfall were quietly spreading. She stopped being the hungry fighter climbing the mountain and became the celebrity sitting at the top, surrounded by people afraid to tell her the truth. And that truth was simple: the division was catching up, and she wasn't improving. November 14th, 2015, Melbourne, Australia. The night the world stopped believing in invincibility. Holm, a former boxing world champion, entered the cage calm, composed, and underrated. But Holly wasn't intimidated. She was prepared. Her camp studied Ronda's flaws, analyzed her straight-line pressure, and targeted her predictable entries. From the opening seconds, Ronda looked lost. Holly's footwork was too sharp. Her angles are too clean. Her counter-punches are too precise. The longer the fight went, the more desperate and reckless Ronda became. And then, in round 2, it happened. A head kick that echoed through the arena and through the entire MMA world. Ronda fell like a collapsing monument. Holly finished the fight, and the unthinkable became reality. Ronda Rousey was no longer unbeatable. That night wasn't just a loss, it was a psychological earthquake. The aura shattered, the fear disappeared, and the empire she built on dominance suddenly had its first massive crack. But what came next was even worse. Ronda didn't just lose the fight, she lost herself. Mental breakdown and disappearance. After the Holm fight, Ronda vanished. The once unstoppable star spiraled into depression, openly admitting she sat in the hospital thinking about suicide. The woman who walked with fire now struggled to stand without breaking. The fall from the top wasn't just physical, it was emotional devastation. Ronda refused interviews, she hid from cameras, she didn't attend UFC events. For nearly a year, the world didn't see the former champion at all.
Like, what am I anymore if I'm not this? And I was literally sitting there and like thinking about killing myself, and that exact second I'm like, I'm nothing. I'm like, what do I do anymore?
And the longer she stayed away, the more doubt filled the air. Fighters debated the loss. Analysts criticized her coaching. Fans questioned her toughness. The invincible aura had turned into a cloud of uncertainty. When she finally re-emerged, her face said everything. She wasn't healed, she was wounded, and instead of building herself back through slow, logical steps, she walked straight into the lion's den, attempted comeback. Ronda Rousey returned, but she wasn't the same fighter. Across the cage stood Amanda Nunes, faster, stronger, more technical, more powerful, and at her absolute peak. From the opening bell, it was a massacre. Amanda needed only 48 seconds to destroy Ronda's comeback. Punch after punch snapped Ronda's head back. Her defense collapsed instantly. She had no footwork, no head movement, no answers. And her corner, once again, had no plan. When the referee stopped the fight, Ronda didn't protest. She looked relieved. Her final stand, it all ended in less than a minute. Tactical and coaching failures. Ronda's downfall wasn't just physical or emotional. Her coach, Edmond Tarverdyan, built her striking on false confidence. Instead of refining her grappling dominance, he convinced her she was an elite boxer. Instead of tightening her defense, he told her she could outstrike world-class strikers. His training sessions were criticized. His game plans were predictable. His corner advice during fights was often disastrous. Ronda's opponents studied her weaknesses. Edmond didn't fix them. She kept charging forward with the same patterns. Legacy. Ronda's legacy is undeniable. She didn't just open the door for women's MMA, she blew the door off its hinges and built the house around it. She made women's MMA mainstream, profitable, and globally respected. Her dominance forced the UFC to invest in the women's divisions. She made little girls worldwide believe they could fight too. She became a cultural phenomenon who proved women could headline arenas and break pay-per-view records. Even her downfall teaches a lesson. Greatness isn't just about winning, it's about impact. And Ronda Rousey's impact is permanent. Ronda Rousey's downfall wasn't a single moment. It was a perfect storm. Media pressure, tactical stagnation, psychological weight, flawed coaching, and the rise of sharper, more evolved fighters all collided at once. But her collapse doesn't erase her greatness. It defines her humanity. She rose like a rocket, fell like a meteor, and left behind a crater that changed the landscape of MMA forever. Ronda wasn't perfect, but she was unforgettable. And in the end, that's what legends are made of. Before you go, here's the question I want to ask you. How do you remember Ronda Rousey? As an icon who changed MMA, or as a fighter who couldn't adapt?